24th of June 2023. This video is on RTE, Radio Television Sheridan, Ireland's national broadcaster. They've been caught. They've been caught with an understatement of payment of €340,000 for over and above what they declared to have paid their presenters. Okay, now in the past number of years, that's 2017 to 2022, and in particularly 2020 and 2022, for 2 years, there has been a flood of payments from the broadcaster not properly accounted for. According to their reports, they paid €440,000 from a particular person or presenter in 2021 when the COVID was out, but actually they paid $75,000 for the 2 years, 2020 and 2021, which accounted for €150,000, which went to Ray and Tubridy. And they did this through what's known as a barter account. This is where a particular commercial body gets advertising concessions in return for payments of this nature. Now, the exact legality of that I don't know, but it is $75,000 for 2020 and 2021, totaling $150,000. Barter accounts can be where a company, I don't have that much wrong with it, maybe having a dance troupe on or Irish dancing or something, and they want to show Ballygowan water or some other type of Cumara mountain water, and they have it on the bottles and they get it seen that they're drinking this. That's I wouldn't get too worked up about it. Anyway, the money was paid to Tubridy via an intermediary, and that's quite common for all these big presenters. They don't get a salary in the same way as the staff get a salary and a pension and a gratuity at the end of it. They get a lump sum, and if they become unemployed at 55, they have to survive the rest of their lives effectively on what they get paid. So they get paid quite a lot. I don't have any time for Ryan Tubridy. I don't think he's a good presenter, but that's only my opinion. Gay Byrne and Mike Murphy would have been examples of the same. Gay Byrne was ripped off twice by his accountant, and Mike Murphy went over to Florida and he poured money into real estate to a much greater do, and it all came a cropper there too. He lost most of it, as far as I understand. So RTE understated what they paid to Tubridy. What they stated they paid to him was $440,000 in 2021 and $491,000 in 422, when they actually paid $551. That's $110,000 more, and $545. That's $90,000 more than what they declared. It's a bit hard for you to see that there, but I'm just trying to. It's in pen. I have no marker here. Anyway, what they paid. Now, they give the total figure of 2.8 million declared, and they actually paid 3 million. That seems a bit strange to me. I have a degree in business studies and I studied accounting. I think that needs to be looked at. What happened was, folks, their internal auditor, that's the auditor employed by them, spotted something there, and wonder of wonders, actually reported it and all that, and RTE was forced to call in their main auditor. Now, as I understand, they'd have to have an audit every year by an external auditor, and this is Grant Thornton. So the new Grant Thornton was going to spot it. The internal auditor had noted it. He had to cover himself, and so this is how it became aware. Understand that. Now, the minister is Catherine Martin. She's the green one. She knows how to count our carbon taxes and how to count the climate change, account everything. She was aware of it. This has gone on for a while. So what has she done? Now, Tubridy was bragging about reduced payments during the COVID, but he was getting these phased payments, and ordinary journalists took a pay cut, and they're complaining through one of the presenters there for their NUJ, the National Union of Journalists. I think it's Emer O'Kelly, and she's complaining that they were taking the cut when this was going on, so they're not happy campers. The chair of Sinn Féin, Susan O'Reilly, she's the chairperson somewhere or other. I don't know what role she has. They're all chairmen as far as I can see. She has said she regrets this and there's a breach of trust with public with the public, and she has to apologise. That's not good enough for me. I believe there's more of this going on. She said it must never happen again. I want to know, is the Wind Energy Association or some company selling windmills and promoting them, paying them money under the counter? My own campaign has cost them at least €400,000, and if I get going on the way I'm going, it'll cost them maybe $1 billion, maybe $2 billion, forcing them to do the proper assessment and comply with the proper rules, and that is a serious threat to them. And RTE is dug in against me. I've made complaints against them. I got nowhere. I have currently a complaint in. Going to be interested to see how this is going to go. I did another video there, and it's progressing. And the thing about it is, if it's never to happen again, the first thing we must know is what is actually happening now. Who else is paying? Right? Now, Tubridy, he's unapologetic. He blames RTE. He says RTE accounting has nothing to do with him. And in a way, he's right. His managers are NK management. So he says doesn't matter. But then the thing about it is, he can say, well, how they get the money to pay me is their business. And that's true. If I get a contractor to bail silage for me, how I get the money to pay him is not his concern. That's nothing to do with him. And Tubridy says the same. Now, but having said that, he is in the business of commenting on all things public, and so he needs to be fairly squeaky clean. Now, Dee Forbes is the director until the 10th of July this year, the 10th of July 2023, and she had to be suspended. So what kind of a one is she? She's mad, totally woke. She's woke. And other presenters are all the same. Now, her ship went aground when Grant Thornton began to do their job. Now, Malcolm Byrne, he's a politician. He's concerned as well. Oh, is he now? Yeah. I've been talking to politicians for 10 years about the bias of RTE. Now, so she's there. That Forbes one is there. She's an English one till the 10th of July, and she had to go early. And under her stewardship, they brought on Hillary Clinton to lambaste Trump, to criticise Trump. Trump's not paying his taxes. Trump's horrible. And here are they at the very same thing. Now, in the case of Virgin Media, they are not connected with RTE. They treated me the same. I went up to their events with Vincent Brown show and all that, and they deliberately put the camera across, and in one case took the microphone out of my hand rather than let me comment on my pet subject, which is the terrible problem of high electricity costs due to the crazy green energy policy. Now, today will be a Pride Day in Dublin, Gay Pride. The whole of O'Connell Street is destroyed with LBGT colour flags, rainbow flags, and I have nothing against homosexuals or people who are gay or anything, and I voted for the same-sex marriage, but this is too much in your face. This is in your face, and you watch the news today, the 24th of June, with RT. There'll be gay, the whole news and the whole thing, and interviewing them and all of the rest of it. And this is all you're going to get from this woke, cultural, Marxist, left-wing, globalist public broadcaster. The book complaints I made, the defeated complaints I made, they managed to kick them into the long grass. I have a present complaint. I think that's to be the same. But this incident might provoke the regulator. The regulators tried to get me to close my case, and I said no. It might provoke them into actually doing the job. We'll see how that goes. And if there's an inquiry, of course, I'll be making my contribution there. So they managed to defeat me up to now. But that's the benefit of having your complaints in, folks, because when you have your complaint in, you can then come along afterwards and show how the crowd that was dealing with the complaint is just as corrupt as RTE are, right? So this could work in my favour. As I say, I suspect they're getting money from the wind industry, and this could be a help now to find out. There has to be. If you can get this going on, and the hunger on them for money, and them always looking for money, and they paying Tubridy, I wouldn't pay him half of that. I mean, we're going to do without him now. How come he's worth it so much? But this is how the woke cultural Marxist crowd work. Now, as I say, he was bragging about his reduced payments during the COVID when he was actually receiving phase payments. And the National Union of Journalists, Emer O'Kelly, has commented on this, how they were forced to take a pay cut while all of this was going on behind doors. Just be aware, the likes of Tubridy gets paid as a lump sum. He could be 10 years in the job. If he goes out of the job, he has to survive on that. Whereas Emer O'Kelly, yeah, and those type of people who are Eileen Magner, who are on a salary, they would be getting their payment, maybe not as much, and then they get a bit of a pension and a gratuity after it. So it's a different thing just to understand. So now that's basically most of it, folks. Now again, if I haven't said it, they were lambasting Boris Johnson. They were lambasting Boris Johnson for attending a party for someone going away. And they had several parties there. There was one for Catherine Sapone, attended by the Taoiseach Micheál Martin and the Taoiseach Leo Varadkar. And they were lambasting Boris because they don't like him because he tends to be a bit anti-migration. And they were trying to find faults in it. They were lambasting Trump about his accounts and his failure to pay taxes and how horrible he is. And here they were doing the very same thing again. Now, in regarding these extra payments, another issue to look at is, was tax deducted or how were they treated by the revenue commissioners for tax purposes? Did Tubridy pay tax on these payments? And why did they need to give him these payments? Because he was being cut a bit because of the COVID, and then they had to keep him sweet. And I'd like him to explain why he said his salary was reduced a month after he received 75,000 of a top-up from this fund. I would send RTE out to Ballycoolan. I'd build a bit of a Kingspan concrete mix shed out there and horse them into it. Let them put out the news and all of that. And I'd use the Montrose studio for social housing. Let people live in there, build nice, make a nice sort of a village out of it, and give the houses to genuine Irish people, country and town. And if there has to be an odd genuine person who came to live here from abroad, so be it, but that's up to them. But the thing is, I would take that site from them. I would take that site from them and put it to some good social use. It's Irish people's property. It's not RTE's property. On the abortion referendum, in my opinion, they were extremely biased. They promoted abortion. They weren't fair about it. They didn't give fair coverage to people. They're anti-conservative, big time. The Sapone incident is clear. A big party held and no remarks passed, never investigated, no consequences for Micheál Martin or Leo Varadkar for breaking the law, whereas Boris had to go. You see how Ireland is so corrupt. And it had other parties. And again, to repeat, the hypocrisy over the Conservative candidate, Trump. Folks, the auditors did their job in this case. I'd like to know how long this was going on and when it was first copped. Why did the internal auditor not spot it a year earlier? That's a question. Because it was the internal auditor brought to the attention of Grant Thornton. We will look at their accounts sometime to see who was their external auditor in the years that this happened, and is there any mention of this? Well, auditors are not strictly in law responsible to check everything. They're a watchdog, they're not a bloodhound, according to Lord Denning. So I suppose they'll be able to say the internal auditor brought it to our attention, and he did bring it to their attention. So I suppose if it's a year late, well, I wouldn't knock that. He might have told them this is the situation, it was up to them to stop it. And this was going to go on. I'd say this was going to go on forevermore. As I say, I think it's already happening with other things, particularly the renewable energy sector that had Duncan Stewart on and EcoI, and everything's climate change, climate change, night, noon and morning, climate change, LGBTQ, climate change, hate Trump, hate Boris, pro-EU, all of this thing. 100% for Ukraine, no truth told about the cause of the Ukraine war and all of that. These are not a proper public broadcasting company, and they need to be rooted out and something different done, or do without them, because we have social media now and we don't really need them at all. Now, just to finish off, and I've been contacting some people before I made this video, ordinary people struggling along to get along. And the free TV license given out to people who need it, who are of low income, I mean, that is affected this carry on. The other thing is we are forced to pay a license fee to a broadcaster which is not an objective license fee. These people stopped Ulick O'Connor, a great artist commentator. He's dead now, and he complained bitterly they wouldn't let him on. He used to be on talking about Joyce and St. John Gogarty and a bit about contrary stuff and all that, and he was quite entertaining, and they weeded him out, they got rid of him, and nobody who is conservative can get on RTE. Why should I be forced to pay a TV license to them? Okay, why should I be, when they're not doing their job right, they're not accountable, they're constantly looking for money, and why were they giving Tubridy this money? Is he worth it? Surely he was getting enough as it was. This shows you the dependence they had on him. They probably thought he was going to go. I'd say his resignation now has been something to do with this. It doesn't represent the people. It doesn't represent it. About the only thing that's anywhere believable is the weather forecast. We're sick of their damn green, cultural, windmills, pylons, climate disaster, climate refugees, climate this and that. And they're out of touch. They're just a wing of the American Democratic Party. They're out of touch. We shouldn't have to pay the license. Some new way of doing it must be done. But I think to root them out of Montrose is the most important thing. It's the most important thing. We see Tara mines closed because of high energy costs. Nothing much about it. They do kind of cover nothing much about it. They never look at the legality of the energy situation. They refuse to do it. What is going on? They're hungry for money. They're hungry for money. They're going to be demanding more money. And it's, if people turns against them enough, and with the advent of the internet and all the internet platforms for providing news, their day is gone. Their day in the sun is gone because they can't really provide a good program on space or science or anything else. They can't do comedy because if they make any funny remark at all, oh, it's not politically correct. It's not politically correct. You go back and look at some of John Cleese's films, The Life of Brian and some of them, and the satire that was in there and the fun, and look at the old comedians there that were on it, on the telly years ago, Dick Emery and all these type of people, and you soon see that we're living in a totally different age that we need to get rid of. Folks, I'm glad they're caught. Let's galvanise our opposition to them, try and force a change out and use this. But for me, they have consistently rejected my complaints against untrue and unfair broadcasts. The advertising and the broadcasting standards people have consistently sided with them. I have a complaint in at the moment. Maybe this is a bit of a help, and all of this will come to bear in time. That's why I campaign. I am pinning down the politicians and all of these people. I met their man Brian Walsh, he's the head of human resources, years and years ago, and he laughed at me. So the thing about, that's RTE's man, so the thing about it is, slowly but surely, they're on the wrong side of history, and it's for us to get them sorted and work on this and use this in every way we can to root out the truth about them, and it won't be a very rosy picture. Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and we'll see you back for something else. Thank you very much.